Hello, ladies. Today I have the honor to talk to Marianne Schütze about her journey to health and wellness. And looking at Marianne today, we can't imagine that she ever struggled with weight and battling with negative self-talk. So thank you, Marianne, that you are prepared to talk about your journey and revealing all the secrets that came on and your struggles you had on your journey.
Yes, absolutely. And I really, went into my mind to come across all of this memory, because I think a part of the journey when you are leveling up in health and wellness is that you actually have forgotten about certain struggles. Some of them maybe on purpose because they were very unpleasant, but others just because you keep moving on. So yeah, I have prepared something to share with you all today about that journey. And
Okay, great. I have a few questions here,
yeah,
so let's get started.
let's
So
do it.
what inspired you to start your health and wellness journey, and what were the initial challenges you faced, Marianne?
I thought really about that, and I would say that I don't even know how many years it took me, but during a period of time, I had gained around 20 kilos.
Hmm.
And of course, I was not happy about that. My body was in a very bad condition. And, I was sweating a lot. I was not sleeping very well, and I had really no energy. So in this way, I felt that, I'm not doing well. And at a certain point in time, I also realized, why I had no energy, and I constantly was eating food with a lot of sugar to regain my energy. So it was like a really negative loop.
Mhm.
And I started actually thinking about my future. I'm not really sure what year this was, but it was before I had my kids, and now they're 18 and 20. But I started dating somebody, and he was in a very great shape. And I was like, this cannot continue, because he was way older than me, and my shape was really, really bad. Not just, my physical shape, but I mean, my breathing. And I started doing some fitness with him, and I realized that I was like, retired. I was like a 70-year-old person, and I just really couldn't cope with that. And I started wondering, what if I will have kids one day? And I know most of the ladies, they add maybe 15, 20 kilos on top of their current weight. And I'm like, this cannot continue. You need to do something. So that's when I really started having, it was not really like the purpose of me, because I knew I would have kids, but I realized that, I have to take care of myself. I have to really start doing something different, because the state that I'm in right now, it's not good. And I don't want to show that to, my future kids or whatever. So I think that's when I got the wake up call that I think I might have been maybe 22 back then.
Okay.
23 or something like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And, it was too early to be so much out of shape, I would say, and have so bad habits, but that was just really how it was. So when you asked me about the challenges, I would say that I was not really focused on doing anything consistently. I didn't pay much attention to what I was eating, obviously. I didn't have no fitness routines, and I was shaming myself a lot of my body. I was not at all happy, because, I could see how I looked, and it made me feel really bad. So I had a lot of negative self-talk, and of course that doesn't help you. Because, when you say something negative to yourself, it only creates negative thoughts and feelings, and it's even harder to do the things that you want to do to get out of that situation that you're in. So that, I would say that was my challenges, really, the negative self-talk that I had, and, shaming myself for my lack of care of myself, and, how can you let it run so far, and,
Mhm.
all the things that maybe some of the listeners, they will relate to. So I waited way too long to get started doing something. I see that now. I just let time pass, and I hope, one day it will get better, but nothing just gets better.
No, not by only thinking about it. It's all about
No,
taking the action.
that's the thing. Yeah. So that's kind of where it started, I would say.
So yeah, you already talked about a bit about it. So, but how did you address and overcome the challenges of struggling with overweight and the limiting beliefs? What what actions did you take?
I would say that I repeated some similar actions for many years, like most ladies do, meaning going on a diet. I went on one diet, it didn't work out. I went on another one, and I was just constantly searching for that one diet that will fix my issues. And at that time, I didn't work out or anything. I just wanted to change my food because for me, it was like my body is based on what I eat. And since I knew about my bad eating habits, I was like, let me change my diet. And I constantly, was on a diet. I know we make a lot of fun of, like women, we're constantly on a diet. And I was on this diet and that diet and whatever diet, you name it, I was on it and it didn't work. So I would say in the end, I realized, maybe it's not what I eat that's actually the problem. It may, it must be something else, since I have tried everything, it didn't work. So there must be something else that I'm not seeing. And that's when I started diving into personal development. And I really wanted to figure out, what is actually going on behind all of this food. And I started getting to know more about myself, and I invested into myself with, different webinars and activities that I did. And eventually I also decided I will jump on this week of health and wellness. And it was a big decision. I invested into that because before that I was not used to investing into myself, and my kids were not very, old back then. So you can see, even before I had my kids, I struggled with this. It has been going on. Like, I felt like this is my life, I'm constantly going to struggle with this for the rest of my life. And I knew that that's not what I want. So signing up for this trip, it was 1 week with focus only on health and wellness, fitness, food. But for me, it was mostly about the time to be with myself and just really care about myself, take the time to do everything that I needed for 1 whole week without taking care of nobody else. And I would say from that week, I really started learning about the correlation between your mindset, your actions, self-image. I didn't know nothing about that back then, what it really was, but at least I started understanding, it's not the food, it's something before that. And she gave us some tools to work with, and I started applying that. And I would say mostly I actually stopped focusing on the food, because I remember I was even so sick and tired that I just wanted to not eat. It's not that I wanted to starve myself, because I cannot really do that. I'm too too happy for food to do that. But what I mean is that it was constantly, I was thinking about the next meal. I think I kind of created an addiction for food in some way. I don't know how else to express it, because I haven't had other addictions really. But it was like, as soon as I was done with one meal, I was planning the next, thinking about the next. And in the end, I was just sick and tired of it, because I knew that what I'm doing with food is not working. So if I can just not think about food, that would be great. So I focused my whole energy on the fitness part, on the working out. So on this trip, I just went, for hours and hours every single day, working out, and food was just a second interest, so to say. So I let go of it for a little bit, because it has too many, feelings for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't really keep working with that, because I had hurt myself so many times with all the the diets. And I just kind of said, you know what, I'll stop looking into the food for a period of time. I'll focus on strengthening my body. And that seems to be like my breakthrough at that time, to stop really bashing myself for what was not working.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. I think that a lot of women can relate to that, and so do I. I went through a lot of diets, and I always achieved my goals, but afterwards,
Yeah.
I went back. Yeah, the typical yo-yo effect.
Yes.
So yeah, as you said, it's more than just doing the diet. It's finding out who am I and what do I want and what suits my body, and focusing on sports and everything. So that's very helpful. Thank you, Marianne.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, what role did education and training as a coach and nutrition advisor play in your personal transformation and in helping others?
I would say that just before I get into that, I want to share just something else about, the self-talk. Because what I realized was that when I was able to change how my body was working, not so much what it looks like, I would say, but maybe that also, but when I could see myself look different, that's when it helped me to change my inner dialogue.
Mm.
So I know when we look in the mirror, we say certain things, and you can keep saying the same things, but if you do the same actions, you will not change, the lady that you see in the mirror. But since I didn't know nothing about self-transformation and self-image back then, I actually started talking nicely to my body. That was even before I educated myself. I don't know how I came up with that. It felt like an intuition. And I remember every night I put my hand on my stomach and I was sending good vibes. And I was kind of confirming that I'll have a six-pack, and that was nothing near that. Just it was like a massive one-pack. But somehow I started doing this, and it felt so crazy. Like, since I was not very spiritual back then, I don't know even how I could do it because it was so much out of my comfort zone. But I realized a fast change, because speaking, negative to myself, of course, everybody knows you feel really bad about that. And the more I just spoke positively to my body, I started seeing, it's actually responding. So it's like there's another person that you talk to, but it's still yourself. But that really helped me to get into a better shape faster. And I started appreciating my body for that, because I had experienced, all the pain. And I was, like I said, I was really sweating like a lot because my body was just on a constant overdrive. And now I started really doing something good, and I could recognize myself for that. And it was not like I recognized myself. It was more like me recognizing my body at this, like it was another person. It was maybe a
But
little hard to explain, but
yeah, it is. And it's so important to recognize our body because we need the body every day. So constantly speaking badly about it and judging it, it doesn't help. So,
no, it's not good. But I think that's how I started understanding about my self-image, that I could actually, applaud myself for something. And it generated a lot of positive self-talk. And I started being proud of my body because it was strong and, capable of something. Not because it looked very good, because it didn't at that time, but I was happy about the performance, so to say, of it. And that helped me to overcome that it didn't look really how I wanted, but at least, I could do something with it.
yeah, so even if you are overweight, the body has to do a lot of work,
Yeah.
getting up in the morning, moving, walking to the kitchen. Though, yeah, it's something we can be grateful as well. And the more you accept your body on this journey, the more it can transform. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So for me, it started really with the physical part. And then later, like you ask, what changed when I got educated. I would say that since I kind of neglected the food part, I knew that at some point I need to go back to that. So starting to talk positive to my body was great, working out, running, different things, but I still hadn't really figured out the food part. And I decided it seems to be a bigger issue for me. I'll invest into educate myself. So I decided to become a nutritionist. And I would say that when I took that decision, I was already working 80 to 100 hours a week. And typically for me, I didn't really study that, study plan. So it was a huge surprise how much it actually required. And just that alone could either, I could have rejected that education because it was simply too much. But how I looked at it was like, it is really a lot. And maybe that's why I don't understand it. Like, it's not just something you just learn. There's a lot about nutrition. So I decided, I'll complete this course. So I did every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I think 8 weeks, two full days every weekend. And it was really tough. Like, this information, I have never heard it like this before, because I think what I have read before was from just like Fit Living magazines, like just regular information, not really true facts. And I finally understood that there was so much that I didn't know, you know, and luckily, because if I had known everything, I would have been in a better shape back then. And not so much the shape, but also what I learned and what really it started interesting me was the nutrition side of eating. For me, because eating had just been some way of regulating myself, or I didn't pay attention to what I was eating. Maybe the volume of it, but not the quality, so to speak. So I would say nutrition, it really became my keyword. Instead of measuring how much I eat and, you know, all the different things, I started just focusing on how can I eat in a more nutritious way? How can I satisfy my body when it comes to, I knew different colors, it meant different vitamins, fibers, and so on. So it's like, how can I choose something good for myself? Not what can I not eat? Because
Yeah.
that simply, you know, doesn't work. So I became kind of obsessed with just replacing my current food with something of higher quality, with more colors, with more nutrition. So it felt like an add-on and not something that I needed to restrict myself. So that was a massive eye-opener. And I still to this day, every day think about nutrition, just in a relaxed way.
Yeah, and also really enjoying food.
Yes,
Just sitting
absolutely.
down and shoveling in it in your mouth, but really enjoying it. Every piece you eat and everything you chew, really enjoying it.
Yeah, be mindful when you ate, because before I was like, you know, ashamed when I was eating because I knew I ate too much and it was not good quality of food. So now I, you know, started becoming more aware of portion sizes and how to design a meal where you satisfy, you know, your body, your eyes, your, you know, you need to, it needs to be of good flavors. There needs to be textures, colors. So you really feed your whole body and not just your stomach, you know, like that's how I really started learning about it. So that's a philosophy that I have also brought to other women. So we don't want to restrict ourselves too much. Nobody wants to live a restricted life. It's not attractive in any way.
Yeah, and I think everything belongs together. When you have too much weight on your body and you accept it, then you can more enjoy the food you're eating now. And that's goes hand in hand, enjoying and accepting yourself. And by enjoying the food, you will lose also weight. People won't believe that, but I think it works
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
it
you
really
accept
works.
yourself and you enjoy the food and you don't have you don't do hidden eating or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. So
Yeah, I did that a lot actually, now that you mentioned that. In the beginning, you know, I was lying so much to myself about how much I have changed, because it's not an overnight success changing your eating habits. It's a lot of inner work that you need to do. But for me, really learning about nutritious, you know, meals, that's what helped me the most. But the cheat meals, and, you know, I even remember sometimes, you know, I ate a chocolate bar and I put the paper, you know, very down low in the trash can because I didn't want anybody to see it. But I knew, you know, I had done it. And I'm like, why are you doing this? This is, you know, not good. So it's like I have been there. I've done everything, you know, like, but I just realized that when I was the most overweight, and I know this from a lot of the clients that I've had since then, we don't actually eat very much because we don't like volume. Since we already feel we are too big, we cannot eat too much food. So what happens is that you find food that is not very big in volume, but it's massive in calories. So in your mind, you haven't really been fed. So it's a little bit, you know, you're a victim of that. But actually, you do have fed yourself just with very, you know, not good food.
mm,
And later, I realized as well, not just about the nutrition, but also about calories, that I needed to educate myself. It's not that we don't know what is healthy and unhealthy food. I think everybody on the planet knows about that. But for me, it became like, I need to learn about how much is it in this food compared to this food, because I like to eat. I cannot restrict myself from eating, and I want to be able to eat food. So I realized, you know, that some of the food that I ate, it's not that I didn't know it, but I didn't know the facts. For me, it helped to know the facts. Maybe it's, you know, this type of person that I am, but eating a white piece of bread with Nutella, which could be something I could eat for dinner, because I didn't want to think too much about it. You know, I was living for myself back then in the beginning. It represents like even more calories than a whole meal if I eat maybe chicken and vegetables and whatever. And when I started comparing, I was like, oh, okay. Okay. And the lack of nutrition. So it's just like lack of nutrition, too many calories, too much fat. And you just start understanding, oh, okay, so I actually need to eat more food just from a different, area. And that leaves so much room for you to do a lot of things that you don't think you can do, because just in your mind it's like, I barely eat and I'm still overweight, like what's going on?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And after a bread with Nutella, you are not, you're still hungry because
Yes.
it's zero fulfilling.
Yeah, it is. In no way, it feeds your body or your mind or anything, so you don't have to really educate yourself as a nutritionist, but I would say that you need to dive into the facts, because we all have created different stories in our mind about why we cannot lose weight or why we have, certain challenges. But you need to educate yourself a little bit about this, so you will realize how much you're lying to yourself, and you're operating on false, information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some key lessons you've learned along the way that you now incorporate into your work with your clients?
I thought about that as well, like one thing that really always hits me when we talk about food, and that is the fact that we do eat a lot from, food that never is on a plate. If you are, in a situation like I was for many years, overweight, and you don't really want to eat, it's like you try to do things that makes it seem like you're not eating.
Mhm.
So you try, it's just, subconscious you do it. It's not like you sit and decide you want to do it, but your pattern, maybe you will realize, that you're listening to this, maybe that you eat directly out of the fridge, directly out of the freezer, directly from a box or a can, or just, it seems like you're not eating. It doesn't count. You kind of forget about it. But in a day, it just adds up. Like, I mean, it can be a piece of fruit. Of course, most people just eat it like that. It's okay, but you will still forget about it. You will remember mostly the food that has been served on a plate.
Yeah.
So I started really helping my clients to say that you cannot eat anything that has not been put on a plate. And this was a huge eye-opener, because even what you drink, there's a lot of calories if you eat or drink just sodas or lemonade, coffee with sugar, just so many things you don't realize the fluent, calories as well. So that's has been some of my, tricks to help the ladies realize that they don't have no track of what they actually do eat. I'm not a huge fan of tracking in an app. I think that can be a little too much pressure, because you will use that to bash yourself, but have fun with that. Realize, oh, now I'm again actually eating something not from a plate. Sometimes the calories from that can be more than the whole day eating the real meals. So that was something as well. Stop the diet, mindset. It's just not working. You want to create a sustainable way of living. It's like you're recreating yourself, you're recreating a new lifestyle. And this has to continue, like from now and then forever. So you don't want to, let's say, okay, now I don't want to eat meat for a month and I'll see what happens. But then what after that month? What will you do? Or I will exclude these. No, just include everything. And since nobody or nothing has really, a ban, you can eat everything with a good consciousness. And there's no negativity involved with eating. It's really important that you start understanding about, maybe replacing some of the things you have currently been doing. Or you can eat chocolate every day, just have one small piece, and then have a huge salad. You cannot, decrease your food to leave the room for the bad stuff. It's it's not working. It's like having a budget, accounts with your bank. You need to pay the boring bills before you know what you have left for the fun stuff. You cannot do it the opposite way around. It simply doesn't work. And it's the same with the food. So as well, something I would say that my mom always, she tries to teach me, because I didn't understand it until very much later, that serving yourself good food is actually improving your mental health. She always said that take care of yourself, because when you take care of your food, you take care of your mind. And I was like, what is this lady talking? Because I didn't see my mom as somebody, you know, with that consciousness. But, you know, when you take care of yourself and you plan your meals and you buy good quality food, you serve it from a nice plate. That's something as well that I always recommend. Most of us, we have so many nice plates in the back of the cupboard for guests. And when do we even have guests?
Yeah.
Very rarely. Bring out the beautiful plates that you do have, the beautiful cups, you know, serve yourself like a queen every single day from the most beautiful that you have. Use that special, you know, knife and fork that is only for, you know, whatever. That never happens anyway.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Level up everything that you can, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. So how do you help other women on their own level up journeys? And what advice do you give to those just starting?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think most of us, we do have the same goals, that we want to have really a level up lifestyle. But the thing is that we need to focus on one area. Like I did, I focused on, okay, let me take the pressure off the food. Let me work out for a period of time until I feel that I have room to work with the food again. Or for somebody else, it may be different. So it's very important that we find that one area that right now is important for you, because you decide that. So you need to decide what's important for you. And then when you have done that, I can help you to create the habits that you need, because we need to align our habits, and it will take some time. But since this is a lifestyle change, there's no end to it. So you said the ladies who are starting, you know, the biggest issue is to start and then don't stop.
Start and be honest with yourself.
Yeah. And just know that it's not gonna end. It's not like I'm starting this weight loss project and, you know, in 3 months it's done. It's not. It's a constant journey. Every single day, you know, you're on this lifestyle journey. Every choice that you make today will create your life tomorrow. And when it comes to our, you know, psychology behind food, I know a lot about that, obviously, because of the education. And, you know, what you are creating today with the food that you eat is either going to make tomorrow easier or harder. So it's not just, I just skip today. No, because then tomorrow will be even harder, you know, so don't make it hard for yourself. Just stay the course and allow yourself to have a glass of wine, drink some, you know, whatever, or eat the chocolate, but plan your week. So you know that on Saturday, okay, you go out. This means that on Tuesday and Wednesday, where you also feel like something, but there's not room for that. And on Saturday, you can just sit back and relax, enjoy the food, the whatever, with, you know, a good consciousness, because you know that you actually were proactive about that. You knew it was coming. So you regulate yourself. Maybe it sounds for some of the ladies a little tough, but we cannot just eat and drink everything every day. It's simply not possible. So you need to regulate yourself, find out what you will enjoy the most, being at this party with your friends and just being able to do what you want, or have a little bit every day, and then on Saturday you need to sit and, you know, watch everybody else, and you're like totally restricted because your, you know, your budget for this week, it was just wasted on something that really even bring you a lot of joy.
Yeah.
So I would say that that's something to consider, you know, what type of lifestyle do we want? And then, you know, as soon as you start, it's no, you cannot stop it again. You need to continue.
And when you are in the flow and you start, as you said before, when you look in the mirror and you see the progress, suddenly the t-shirt sits better, the trousers are better, and your face is completely different. So that motivates you. And when you have a mentor on your side, that pushes you a bit and keeps you accountable. When you have a community as well, sharing with other women, hey, I went for a run and today I did this or that. So yeah, that lightens the whole journey up.
Yeah, that's really true. And one thing else I was thinking is that we need to take ourselves more seriously, but, you know, in a fun way. It's not too serious. But what I mean is that you need to really know what you know, what you can expect if you don't care about anything right now. If you don't think that you need to go to the gym, or you say that I'll take care of it later, but your choices that you make every single day, you know, there will be a price of those choices. Maybe not, you don't see them right now, but you know, they are compounding. So you need to take yourself seriously. What is the life that you want to have maybe 5, 10, 15 years from now? It can't just appear like that if you have neglected yourself for 15 years. You cannot just begin working out because maybe, you know, it will be too much of a journey since you have neglected your body for so long. Or so take yourself seriously, but don't be like too serious about it because it needs to be able to continue for the rest of your life. So if you're too strict and too bossy and too, you know, limited, you want to make some room to live, because if you're too restricted, like I did for many years, it just gave birth to the inner warrior, you know, that wanted to create some you know, resistance to my own suggestions. So you don't really win nothing, you know, when it comes to being too restricted. Just leave a little room, but be aware of the room, you know, that it doesn't become too big, because 1 week just a little bit more, the next a little bit more. I know it from my clients. They're like, I eat exactly how you tell me and I'm still not losing weight. I know you're lying. You know, you can lie to yourself, but you cannot lie to me, because I know if you follow the program, you will lose weight if that was the case. And later, you know, by writing down maybe for a couple of days, you realize, oh, everything that was not on the plate, I kind of forgot, or, you know, I'm not happy to admit that I did this. We need to have the facts straight. If not, you know, we cannot really, make a progress.
So in the beginning, writing down the habits we have so far, setting goals, be disciplined, creating a new routine. So that's
Yeah,
all you would recommend.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And as well, I would say, if, you know, I should have changed something, it would have been to ask for help much sooner. I tried to figure everything out by myself. And, you know, I was reading so many magazines. I was, you know, joining so many webinars, and I got just more and more and more confused. And it felt like it was more and more overwhelming. And since I had this inner dialogue that I was always, you know, a failure, it just never seemed like a great time to start doing certain things, because I didn't know where to begin. I didn't believe really much in myself. And when I looked at myself, I was just thinking like, you know, so I just did so many of these 3 day challenges or 7 day challenges, and I didn't even complete them because I had no accountability. And, you know, it just built it onto the you're not going to succeed with anything image that I had of myself. So I would say that, you know, stop being a webinar junkie, stop being a freebie, you know, hunter. Just pay the price, because you already pay a price being overweight for so many years. I paid a huge price. I don't know yet, you know, what it will be, but I know, since it's not how it's supposed to be. So if I had invested money into a mentor, a community of other ladies that want the same that I want, you know, I could have handled this much faster and, you know, with less struggle, I would say.
So yeah, you already answered a part of my next question. But what I wanted to say, we spoke a lot about being overweight, but it's not only about being overweight. Health and wellness is also for women who want to change their shape in general, or the health condition in general. So if you're ill with a disease, or having short of breath, or whatever it is. So it all belongs together. The right food is important as well on this journey.
Yeah, it's right. It's just because we started with the overweight, but you're absolutely right. For me, it's more like I said, the nutrition right now. You know, I want to level up my self-love. I want to level up my, you know, what I can do for myself. So it's about the choices that I can make to create myself a better life, and eating great food every day, working out my body, taking care of my mental health as well. It's really something that, you know, we all need to do more of. We are so caught up in the daily trivia, and it's easy to forget about yourself, but, you know, you're the only one that you need to live with for the rest of your life. So
Yeah.
you want to really, make an effort to give yourself the best conditions, I would say, to live a great life. Because like I said, there will be a price later. And I have studied this a lot, that people who eat proper food, who exercise on a regular basis, and as well, have actually a great relationship and, exercise their mind as well, they live longer compared to people who don't. And even the people who don't do that, they even, only not die before, but the last 5-10 years of their living is going to be miserable with diseases. So it's just facts, and you can either ignore that I like I did for many years, or just really wake up and it's not too late to get started, but just reach out and get some help, because if you knew how to solve it, you would have already done it. And I can only say for myself, I was so ashamed for so many years. It really hurt me. And later when I started, changing, I remember my dad said, like, because I was actually something I was reminded even when I just talked, I was cutting out the sizes in my pants for a long time, because it's like you lie to yourself consistently. I became the best liar, I forgot the food that I was not happy to have eaten, and it's exaggerated how much I have been to the gym. And when I looked in my app, I had not been this much. This is just, you're just really become a liar. And he said, there was a point in time where I was thinking, yet you have really become, so big in size that I could barely recognize you, but it was not your body. It was also what came out of your mouth. And he never told me while I was in it, because he didn't want to hurt me more, because of course he knew that I was already on that journey. But it was just to hear him say that afterward, since I knew maybe I added 4 sizes, I think, from when, I was just regular size to when it was on my peak. So everybody around you, they know what's going on, it's not a secret. Everybody can see your habits. Everybody can see what you look like. If you're miserable, it's not just the body size, it's, your energy.
Yes, absolutely.
It reveals itself. So just reach out and something like, what we have, the Level Up Society, it's where everybody is welcome. Everybody has a starting point. And I think that's what we have in common. We want to start leveling up. And when we do it together, it's just much more fun. We take it seriously, like I said, but it's still fun. And it's more uplifting when you do it with other ladies, and we can share everything on a positive note.
Yeah, and I guess when you feel well in your body and you feel well with everything, it's more easy to level up in all the other topics, areas you want to level up. Everything starts with your well-being, your health, and accepting yourself.
Absolutely. And I would say that, when you pay for something, you create accountability, because it's like you want to have a return on your investment. But if there's no investment, there's no urge to really get a result. It's like, let me see what happens. That's what I did all the time. I read a book, let me see what happens. I went to a webinar, let me see what happens. But, we all know that leads to nothing.
Yeah.
So when you want results, you need to find the best investments for that. And I would say that I have been looking for a place like this, but I haven't really found it. So decided, I'll create my own, where everybody can afford to join and get the proper, support and celebration that we need, because it can be a very tough and lonely journey, but it doesn't have to be. You have other choices, actually.
Absolutely. So congratulations to your transformation. It's really amazing to see you. And I can't imagine how you looked 20 years ago. So yeah, but what are your future goals for personal and professional growth?
I will always say that I have a goal of leveling up. It has really become my new favorite expression, because right now I don't know what I don't know. For right now, I'm, running towards a goal that I have. And I don't know when I hit that, what will be the next. It's just something I realized, that I like to be on a journey towards something. It really makes me feel good. So I always have goals. And now it's from the perspective of my life has a meaning when I have a goal, where before it was like, I need to perform something to be somebody. it has flipped for me with that. So I have a huge goal of how many ladies I want to really help with leveling up. And I have goals for myself as well about, my own health. I know there's more I can improve with my nutritional, focus, and as well become more and more stronger, in my body. I don't want to let age define, my condition. I know a lot of women do that. Well, now I'm this age, and no, don't give yourself all these excuses. You still, can do everything that you want. When it comes to that, it's never too late to start, your journey. So I would say that's the goal that I do have. I'm turning, 50 in a couple of years, and I have certain goals for myself, not just, health and wellness, but they will always be just a part of how I live my life. It's not to, perform in a way that I'm good or bad. It's just I cannot not have a goal. I just see how much it helps me to stay the course and stay committed. When I don't have goals, it's like everything matters, nothing matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, Marianne, for sharing the insights of your journey. And we are looking forward to learning more from you.
Yes, I'm excited to share all my secrets, and I will see how everybody can level up their health and wellness as well. Thank you so much for your time as well, Tanya. It was a great pleasure.
You're welcome.